Boa tarde, gente. Tudo bem com vocês aí? Aproveitando bastante? Ótimo, eu também estou. Fiquei bem feliz de hoje apresentar uma pesquisa que eu fiz com base em umas duas disciplinas que eu tenho ministrado na área de tradução, que envolve ferramentas tecnológicas para tradução, né? Então, o meu enfoque aqui, vou falar um pouquinho sobre AI-Powered Translation Tools, vai ser nas ferramentas para tradução. O enfoque vai ser tradução, tudo bem? By the way, Portuguese and English, what do you think?
English.
Either one? Either one? Okay, yeah, because I have prepared everything in English for me to be easier. Okay, thank you. So this is the structure of my presentation, right? I'll be focusing on, of course, I'm going to give you some background, because I'm speaking from a particular theoretical space, so I'm going to give you some background. The general objective, research questions, translator education and or translator transformation. I'd say both, right? Because nowadays it's impossible to talk about translator education without talking about this process of transformation, especially because of the the tools that we have to deal with daily. What are AI-powered tools? Where to find them? How can they assist translators? Types of AI-powered tools for translators. Of course, I won't be able to cover all of them. We don't have time for that. I've written a paper, so I'll probably be publishing it next year, so I hope you to read the paper, because I worked really hard to produce a kind of classification with the AI-powered tools that translators can benefit from. So it took me a while. So please read my paper, right? You won't regret it. So, yeah, I'm sure it will be only you, so please do, right? And student assessment and attitudes. I took the liberty of creating a questionnaire and asked for some of my students to answer those questionnaires. So the information I'm going to be providing you with here in terms of student assessment and attitudes comes from, straight from the horse's mouth, right? So students who have already used those tools, and it was very funny. I was talking to Professor Marcus, because some of them use AI-powered tools, but they didn't know. So they answered, I don't know. And you see, and this is exactly what I want to point out. Sometimes we are so immersed with the AI-powered tools that we don't know, and we deal with them daily. And then some final comments. So, the background. Folks, I think 1 month, 2 months ago, I don't know if you remember, lots of newspapers talking about GPT-3, GPT-4, saying that they provided us with a list of professions that we're supposed to be terminated with the use of AI technology. And then everybody started talking about it, and it was really sad because translation figured on top of the list, right? So with AI tools, the translation profession will be over, according to these reports from the various newspapers all over the world. Okay? And this is because some experts have predicted that AI could potentially replace human workers in certain jobs, so translation as a case in point. And according to a report, this is very important, of the World Economic Forum, the Future of Jobs Report 2020. If you haven't read it, have a look, because I think it's very important for you to have a look. It is estimated that AI will displace around 85 million jobs by the year up to 2023. But, and this is the good news, it will also create approximately 97 million new job opportunities, right? So I think this is a matter of being in tune with those tools, right? And see what happens. We have to face the 21st century now, as you well know. And I think the only certainty about the 21st century is that it is uncertain, right? So you have to be prepared. We don't know what will happen, right? So this means that while certain jobs may become automated, there will also be new jobs that require knowledge, skills, and attitudes in the use of AI-powered tools. Okay? So in this sense, the need for human workers who can adapt to the rapidly changing job markets will become a sine qua non factor for workers to remain relevant and employable in this ever-changing scenario. Okay? There's no escape. But of course, policy changes and investment in education and training are needed to ensure that future workers can upskill and reskill, face the new demands of today's job market, and being prepared for the unforeseeable changes ahead. Unfortunately, of course, as I mentioned before, the translation industry has not been immune to the impact of AI technologies, and it's, of course, automation. So AI technology and automation here, folks, is a key word, okay? Because everything has to do with this idea of automation. So these tools are going to replace humans, and it will, when we talk about jobs that can be automated. Okay? Whatever we do that can be automated, these tools, they are going to replace, human beings. There is a fact. I'm not talking about creativity here, right? Because it's another aspect. But that's what these tools do. They automate, certain kinds of jobs, right? So in fact, much of this, I like this expression, foreboding and omens, right, are not new to the disciplinary field of translation studies. I don't know if you remember, some of you won't remember, in the 70s and the 80s, right? Most of you believe, yeah, especially people from, the back of the, of the auditorium. What happened was this. In the 70s and the 80s, lots of people were talking about machine translation systems. And the main concern was that those machine translation systems would replace human beings. It never happened, right? And nowadays, human beings are using machine translation systems more than ever, especially, to increase productivity and things like that. So nowadays they use the pre-editing and then use the software and then post-editing. So they're always talking about, this 3 moments when you use machine translation systems. And they are very useful, right? Depending on the kind of text that you're translating, these tools can be really helpful. But they haven't replaced human beings, and I don't think they will, right? At least at the present state of knowledge that these particular systems, provide us with. So the general objective of my presentation is to initiate an analysis of the impact of AI-powered tools in translator education and its eventual translator transformation in the context of this post-pandemic era. More specifically, it focuses on an English language and literatures program at the Universidade Federal de Santa Catarina and the executive secretarial program, in which translation figures as one of the career opportunities these 2 programs offer to their graduates. Okay? These are my research questions. What types of AI-powered tools could be explored in the process of translator education, or if you like, translator transformation? How do translation students assess the effectiveness of AI-powered tools in improving their translation competence? And what are their attitudes? Are they already using AI-powered tools? Which ones? So, in order to answer those questions, of course, I had to come up with a classification of those tools. And of course, I had to visit many sites, many websites. I'm the kind of person that uses Instagram a lot. So, as you do, I believe. And I sign. Some people were always talking about AI tools because I wanted to know, the newest trends in artificial intelligence. And by receiving those, messages, I started compiling a list with lots of tools, right? So that's why I won't be able to talk all about all of them here. It would be impossible, right? But that's how, I proceeded in organizing and making this classification of tools that could be possibly used by translators, right? And the questionnaire, which I mentioned earlier. And luckily I had 27 students have responded to the questionnaire. So I think it's a good amount of information to start with. Of course, from a statistical perspective, it's very little, but it gives us at least an idea of how students have been using those tools and why they have been using those tools, right? And which tools they have been using so far. And these are the two programs we are going to be focusing on. I have already mentioned it earlier. Folks, I won't spend much time talking about translator education, translator transformation, right? Basically what's happening is that usually when we talk about translation education, we are saying that translator education prepares the students to deal with the unpredictable, right? Basically, that's the idea behind this, this view on translator education. So it's not only a matter of preparing the student for the job market, but preparing the student to become global citizens, right? And learn how to deal with the unpredictable. You're talking about critical thinking here. So critical discourse analysis can be a very nice tool in order to help, our students to think out of the box. That's the idea. But this is not all, because I don't know if you know, there is a job market. And the job market needs people to work in it. And we need money. We need to pay our bills, right? So I think the idea is to combine both. We are preparing you, of course, to deal with the unpredictable, but you must prepare you for what is somehow predictable, right? And something that I can say that's really predictable is the fact that you're supposed to use AI-powered tools if you want to survive in the job market, in the translation industry, just for you to have an idea. This is something that I always tell my students. You are supposed to know how to use at least one single translation memory system. Because when a translation agency or translation company wants to give you a job, the first thing that they ask you is this: what translation memory system do you use? Okay? So this is not me. This is the translation industry. And you must, try to at least keep abreast of these new technologies. So translator transformation, which of course within this frame of the digital era that we are facing now, this post-pandemic period, is a common thing because we have to transform what we do, right? So I wrote there, translator transformation also involves preparing students for the changing expectations and needs of the clients, who now require faster turnaround time and greater flexibility. One particular area which I believe we studentes de letras, we can really do and do really well, better than what's been doing so far. For example, is to produce content for the social media. We are capable to do that, right? Because we know how to write. We write well. We translate well. But I don't see many estudantes de letras doing things like that. And sometimes I ask myself, why? Because we are the experts, right? And this is something that we should start thinking about, This is something that you could do as estudantes de letras as well. right? And how can you do that? Trying to, fill in those expectations there. To require faster turnaround and time and greater flexibility by using these tools. Therefore, translator education must transform to become translator transformation, equipping students with the knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to succeed in this current digital transformation scenario. Folks, knowledge, skills, and attitude. It's useless to teach you, to give you the knowledge and the skills if you don't have the attitude to use those tools, right? So it's a matter of incorporating those tools into your daily practice. That's the challenge, really, right? So it's not only a matter of, knowing, having the information about what you're doing and at the same time having the skills. You also need to have the right attitude. And this is something that comes, from motivation, either extrinsic or intrinsic, but you have to think about it, right? It's not only a matter of learning these skills, but incorporating them into your daily practice. What are AI-powered tools? Where to find them? So, they are software applications or platforms that leverage artificial intelligence technologies to enhance the translation process. These tools utilize machine learning algorithms, natural language processing, and other AI techniques to automate certain tasks, improve translation quality, and of course, increase productivity. They can be found on various online platforms, software marketplaces, or directly from the developers' websites, right? But of course, if you read my article, you're probably going to, have direct access to those tools, okay? How can we assist translators, folks? They can assist translators in various ways, including these 4. Language assistance, helping with grammar, with finding the right vocabulary, right? The right collocation, terminology support, using the right term for that particular kind of text. Quality assurance, it can help you to improve the text, the final text you have, produced. There are wonderful tools for that. And drafting assistance. Yes, I'm talking about GPT-3. Drafting assistance, right? But the thing is, how can I really use those tools in our own benefit, right? Without, breaking any rules, any laws, right? I think that's the ethical discussion, which is in a way somehow preventing people from using those tools, right? But this is something that we should discuss, not today, because we don't have the time, but I think it's important, right, to know how to use those tools. And they can be really, really helpful. For translation, if you want to produce a first draft, I think it can be really, really helpful. And the first draft that these tools, they produce, folks, they are of very good quality. And I showed that to you, right? The thing is now we have to think of how to make this useful for, estudantes de letras. This is translation memory system. Most of them now, they are AI powered. This is SmartCat. Yes, SmartCat is AI powered. Some of my students here, they have already used it, and I believe they really enjoyed it because SmartCat works as if it was some sort of workstation. Because there you find everything. You find the translation memories. You have the machine translation. I think SmartCat used Yandex. Yandex is a Russian, right, machine translation system. It's working really well. Yandex is also, incorporating AI powered tools. And this is, a wonderful tool for translators. Nowadays, you cannot become a translator without knowing how to use a translation memory system. And do you know what it does? Do you know translation memory systems? Yeah, they store information about previous translations, and when you use it, if you're supposed to translate a segment which you have already translated, the computer software offers you that option. And you can use it, or you can recycle it, and include it in your translated text. So it's very, very useful, right? So this is a translation memory system. Machine translation systems? Yes, folks, most machine translation systems, they are AI power based. Google Translate, and here, this one, I've recently discovered it, and I really fell in love with DeepL. It really works, right? Works really well, and it's AI powered. It's called AI powered 2. And well, the most important thing, it's free of charge, right? As all the ones I have been showing you so far. With SmartCat, it's a little bit complicated because if you want to include some features, you have to pay. But in terms of payment, you pay sometimes $1, $2. So it's reasonable price. Of course, the ideal thing would be, to do. After all, we are Brazilians, right? We don't like paying for software, right? I don't. Yeah, but that's it, But it's a very nice tool, and I know that when you have to use the OCR, the optical recognition character software of SmartCat, you have to pay, for example, right? But I think it's worthwhile. Machine translation, so DeepL. Oh, this one, folks. I love it. This is V's. Oh, by the way, they're not paying me, okay? They're not paying me. I wish, and even I'm paying them because I have to pay the license to use it, right? And that made me feel really angry because I was teaching my students, and I was, coming up with, a group of people, of potential buyers, and they charged me. I was really furious. So this tool, folks, it's an online video editing platform. What does it do? I will show you. Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be there with you, talking a little bit about AI-powered tools. I will finish here because, Lincoln is there with you right now presenting, so I don't want to interrupt him anymore. Bye. Okay, folks, I did this last night. I was in bed, as you could see, right? And what this tool does, it's transcribed automatically everything I said. And it created the subtitles in a very precise way. Huh? Everything which is there, everything. Right? I didn't edit it. I didn't. I'm serious. Of course, it depends on the quality of what you're saying. I mean, there are many factors, but remember, these are AI-powered tools. They learn. So with the passing of time, they will really recognize your voice and are going to improve, the transcription. And it doesn't stop there, folks. It also translates automatically. I could translate it even for Chinese, if I want, to have subtitles here in Chinese. So it's a wonderful tool. But of course, But this part of the automation is paid. Okay? This was not paid. This is something that you can do. Right?
Hi everyone.
This is
It's
something
really
that
nice
you
to
can
be
do.
there with you, talking a little bit about AI-powered tools.
Okay, folks, this you can do free of charge. But can you imagine if you're supposed to subtitle a video you have just produced? You could speak in Portuguese and it could translate it into English. Or as I did in English, and it provided, of course, the transcription of what I said. But I could also translate it into Portuguese, into Spanish, into any language. So folks, it's a wonderful tool. And by the way, it can also, you can download the file as I did, or you can simply send the link of the video. So it's a very useful tool, and I do recommend. And I assure you that they're not paying me to do that, right? Yeah, I wish they could pay me to do that. But unfortunately, this is not the case.
What is the name of the app again?
Veed. V-E-E-D. Veed. Okay? What's the command? F5? I don't use Windows. What's the command? F5? Yeah, no. Wrong command. Sorry. Oh, there you are. Oh, folks, this is another tool. I have just find out that they also use AI. This is the terminology resource provided by the European Union. So they have this website, I don't know if you know it, and it's about terminology. Of course, most of the texts of the European community, they are legal texts. So if you're interested, in terminology for, legal texts, this is a very nice way to, to look for that terminology. And of course, it includes all the languages of the European community. I put there the word burglary. Remember the word burglary? We did an activity last week, some of you. I think Marcel is there. Where is Marcel? Marcel is there. You remember, right? Marcel asked me, what's burglary? So Marcel, this is for you, right? So, arrombamento. If you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see furto com arrombamento. That's the meaning of burglary, right? So that's the kind of tool that can be really useful for you. And this one is free of charge, folks. It's wonderful, right? So it's called IATE, European Union Terminology. And of course, I won't be talking about corpus-based tools here. Today, I'd like to show you something different, right? But we can also, you also have the access to the European Parliament corpus, right? It's a parallel corpus that we can also use in order to, find possible solutions for your translation problems. Yes. Folks, the tool is not perfect. The tool invents, okay? I tested it, and then I asked some references for a particular topic. And when I went to check, I found this book, wonderful book, and I need to have it, I have to buy it. And then I started looking for it, and then I found out that the book didn't exist. So the system had invented, right? Why? Because it is limited. It works with a set, of course, large volume of text, but this large volume of text is limited, right? So I'm now testing GPT-4. Again, I'm paying for it. It's a real pain, right? And I can see that with GPT-4 things are much, much better, right? It doesn't invent that much. But that's, again, is the secret. You must know the area. See? You must know the authors. It's not only a matter of asking the tool in order to produce a text for you, right? Because you have to continue with your knowledge. So that's why I said that this particular tool is very nice to draft a translation, for example. Okay? Have a look. This is a poem by Oscar Wilde. And I could translate the poem by Oscar Wilde into Brazilian Portuguese. The title of the poem is To My Wife, with a copy of my poems. I think he wrote it before dying, right? It's a poem that he wrote for his wife. So, I read the poem. Don't dare sleep, okay? Don't sleep. I can write no stately poem as a prelude to my lay. From a poet to a poem, I would dare to say, for it of these fallen petals, one to you seem fair. Love will waft it till it settles on your hair. And when wind and winter harden all the lovely land, it will whisper of the garden, you will understand. Beautiful, isn't it? Now, let's see what GPT-3 did. Não posso escrever um poema imponente como prelúdio à minha canção. De um poeta para um poema, ousaria dizer. Pois se dessas pétalas caídas uma parecer bela a ti, o amor a levará até onde se acomoda em teu cabelo. E quando o vento e o inverno endurecerem, toda a terra desamorosa sussurrará do jardim, entenderás. I don't want to discuss the quality. What I want to pinpoint is the fact that this is a first draft. A first draft. The ones who work with translation understand, right? I had classes with Professor Maria Lúcia Barbosa de Vasconcelos, and she used an expression that I never forget. It's, tem que tirar do barro primeiro. Vamos tirar do barro. Isso aqui é tirar do barro. Right? But can you see the quality? So now what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to use this first draft and, revise it, compare. But of course, in order to do that, you need to have a nice model for revision. You have one, right? You have Mossop's 12 parameters, right? 12 revising parameters. That's what we're using nowadays. So that's it. Okay? The thing is how to use those tools. And now, folks, as for the students' assessments and attitudes, so I had 27 responses, but then in this particular question, only 26 students responded. I don't know why, I don't know what you're planning, right? But as a result, we had 50% of the people who answered, who responded to the questionnaire, they belong to the Executive Secretarial Program, and 50% to the Language and Literatures Program. Okay? I have nothing to do with that, right? And I will question you later to understand that. And here, as you can see, we have 27 responses, right? And the question was, have you ever used AI-powered translation tools before? So 74.1% said yes. 14.8% no. And 11.1% I'm not sure. I believe that the people who said no, and I'm not sure, they didn't realize that they were using AI-powered based tools, right? It's very funny, because they were using, AI-powered tools, but they didn't know. Okay? But it happens, right? In your opinion, what role should AI-powered translation tools play in the field of translation? So 96.3% responded that it is complementary role to human translators. And I don't know would be the rest, and a substitute role to human translators. So nobody said that AI-powered tools would replace humans. He said that these tools, they would be complementary. They would acquire or a complementary role to to human translators. How often do you use AI-powered translation tools in your translation work? 44.4% frequently, 44.4% sometimes, 70.4% never, and rarely. That's very short percentage, as you can see. Okay? So here, students' assessments and attitudes in terms of the tools they usually use. Okay? So this is a question of the questionnaire in which they were supposed to write. It's a note, right? Question. So here they use SmartCat, Google Translate, and DeepL. ChatGPT, Google Translate, SmartCat, Google Translate, GPT, DeepL, Copatrage, because we work with Copatrage. If you don't know Copatrage, it's a system, it's a corpus-based system that was developed here at UFSC, right? Notion AI and ChatGPT. So basically, these are, the tools that most of you are using nowadays. What are the advantages and disadvantages of using AI-powered translation tools? It was very funny because when I read it, I could see only advantages. You wrote only advantages. So, for example, it is way faster to translate using suggestions made by AI and only altering a few parts for clarity or personal choice. Disadvantages. Oh, this one put it, disadvantages. Sometimes the suggestions are too far-fetched from the context to be used, so you have to translate manually anyways. Yeah. I see it as an advantage direction referring to the subject address. Disadvantage that can be present something very generic and the possibility of substitution, human translations. Here, the person is worried that these tools will replace humans, right? Advantages, efficiency, multilingual support. Disadvantages, accuracy limitations, privacy and security concerns. I could go over and read all of them, okay, folks, but I don't think this is the case. The thing is, they are using, these students, they are using it consciously. And that's the important thing. Because if you're supposed to use a translation tool, you must know the advantages and disadvantages. It's not only a matter, oh, now I'm going to use AI-powered tools, so that's it. No, you must know, its deficiencies as well, right? And that's what we did in class. And this is very, very important. With these tools, they can be really helpful, right? But we shouldn't sometimes move beyond those tools. And what are the advantages? Okay, this one I've already answered, sorry. And that's it, folks. That's it. Of course, they answered a total of 10 questions. You can read all of the answers in my paper. Please do read my paper, right? And then you're going to see. This is just, a sample for you. A taster, if you like. So, final comments. The concepts of translator education, translator transformation, and AI-powered translation tools paint a clear picture of the future of the translation profession. There is no escape. As I see it, the opportunities for collaboration between human translators and AI tools create a necessary symbiotic relationship that combines the strengths of humans and machine all together. Spider-Man as a case in point, right? Remember Spider-Man and what's the name of the creature? Venom, yes, the symbiotic relationship, right? So in the face of the challenges presented by the 21st century, AI-powered tools have emerged as indispensable assets. These tools possess the ability to process vast amount of data, perform complex tasks with remarkable speed and accuracy, and adapt to ever-changing environments. So the importance lies in the capacity to address a diverse range of challenges faced across various sectors, from healthcare to finance to transportation and communication. AI-powered tools enable us to harness the power of automation, data analysis, and machine learning, revolutionizing the way we work, the way we make decisions, and tackle complex problems. So most students positively use AI-powered tools, right? And they use them in order to improve their translation competence. They maintain a positive attitude towards the use of AI-powered tools, and most of them already use these tools. So I'm answering the questions, right? SmartGet, Google Translate, DeepL, Lingui, and ChatGPT are among the most used AI-powered tools. And just to conclude, I'd like to say that by augmenting human capabilities and enhancing productivity, these tools have become vital in unlocking new possibilities and driving innovation in the modern era. Embracing AI-powered tools is not only crucial for staying competitive, but also for shaping a more efficient and sustainable future for you. Okay? That's it, folks. Thank you very much.